Speed.
Hey, what's going on, all you jiggly wigglies? How you doing out there? It's another episode of the CoronaCast. What is this? Week 3 that we're doing it?
Volume 3, sir.
Volume 3. I'm sorry, Volume 3. See, I'm already botching the thing. How you doing today, boys?
Doing all right.
All
Mike,
right.
you're not fully in frame.
I'm not.
No.
Why not? Oh shit. Okay, better.
No.
No,
It's fine.
better. Lower.
Yeah. You got to move it to your left.
I think it'll be fine.
Other
Other?
way. No,
Are you
other way.
Are you just bugged that you can't see him?
Yeah.
It should look fine in the recording.
I
so.
see him.
I'm coming out pretty.
I see him
Oh.
just fine. I see
Yeah.
everything. So
Okay.
Okay. Then it's
He sees
probably
everything.
my. You better
Bubba is
believe it.
God. So, he sees everything. He sees you when you masturbate.
oh,
So.
shit.
You got to put on a show, baby.
Like the 2 times this morning.
Right. Shit.
2 times, baby. You're behind, man.
Be like I've jacked it 6 times since I've been here.
Yeah. Is that why you were running late, Bubs? Catch up.
No, it was something coming out of the other end. So
Yeah.
I hear that, dude.
I had
Yeah.
to take a shit. So
Hey, you could have started recording from the toilet on your phone. So.
does that had a full-on crotch shot the entire time?
Oh man.
You guys
That's right,
want to
man.
see how the bottom of my belly and the top of my wiener connect?
Ah, dude. Been waiting my whole life for that. See some dick root. How you boys doing?
Doing all right. So just doing what I've been doing the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, it just starts to kind
Really
of
the
blur
last
now,
month.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. Just start losing track of days. I find myself getting lazier and lazier as this goes on.
Yeah.
So like I don't even want to do essential stuff like getting ready or like going grocery shopping or anything like that.
Yeah, we're having ours
Yeah.
delivered.
Oh really?
I mean, yeah. So.
Like, it's not even that, like, to me, like, if I was just kind of just staying home still, like, just to go out, just to go, like, put on the mask and the
Yeah.
gloves and everything, that's just the fucking bitch to do, so, like, I mean, I think that alone just makes you want to stay home,
Yeah.
You sound like Bane, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
No one cared who you were before you put on
Put
the
on the
mask.
mask. Yeah. No, it's a hassle. Like I have a few masks that I have gotten from the school district, and they're reusable, so I'll wear them and I'll use them every like 4 or 5 times I go out, and then I'll throw them away because they just start to stink and get gross.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
and
they said you should only, like, use them maybe, like, 2 or 3 times max anyways, because they start to, kind of, like, circulate all this stuff in there.
Yeah, but
So.
it's just a pain in the ass just going out. You're basically like getting ready for a sports game to go out to go grocery shopping or
Yeah.
to just run an errand.
Yeah.
And now with the facial hair, it's a bitch, you're just like, it's
Oh,
all
yeah.
fucked up and fuck, man. So,
Well, at least now you could just throw on a hat. So.
yeah. True that.
You don't have to comb your hair or anything.
Yeah.
How's that been, Bubs? Has that been kind of freeing?
Yeah, it's been fine. I mean,
That was good, man.
yeah.
Yeah, I showed Claire saw it and she's disturbed by it because she thinks that me and you look too much alike when you shave your head.
Oh.
So.
Yeah,
Well, we are brothers.
Yeah, we are brothers, but I can grow a proper beard. So.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
I just trimmed my goatee the other day. I was like, I'm sick of this being so goddamn long. So.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I cut my hair off, because the way that the guy cut it, because I usually slick my hair back when I don't wear a hat.
Yeah.
But the way he cut it, it was almost like he did it in layers. It was like long in front, and it just got shorter and shorter as he went back.
Oh, okay.
So I would be in bed at night and it'd be getting in my face, and then like Elizabeth would move it over to the side. And even just like the simplest thing, like cooking dinner, I would comb my hair back and I'd be cooking. Every time I looked down, it just flopped in front of my eyes. I'm like, fuck this. It's got to go. I can't get a haircut, so I'll just shave it off.
Yeah.
So
There you go.
it's been a lot cooler too. So since it's
Been hot, yeah.
it feels like we're coming from like the darkest deepest fucking corner of hell with how hot it's been the last couple of days.
Yeah.
It has been hot in Fresno, that's for sure.
I've had my air conditioner on for 2 days straight, so
Uh,
and I've only gone outside once to check the mail and to walk Daisy. So
well, I had to work. I had to work all week, so Thursday and Friday, just sitting outside in the sun. I mean, I did have a little shade, but it was still just beating down on the Easy Up that they have, and
Yeah.
those things don't provide enough shade and coolness. So
yeah.
That was me
yeah.
on Friday and Saturday today because like I've been a lot of the work I've been doing it's outside, sanitizing stuff. So it's been pretty hot outside.
yeah,
Yeah, I was working this morning from like 7:30 to noon. We were building a new canopy for my mom. We actually got it for her last Mother's Day.
Okay.
So we thought it'd be a great idea for this Mother's Day to build it.
and no time like the present.
So and it's a big motherfucker, and it was very frustrating. It started getting hotter and hotter, and we got about 98% of it done. I think we just have like one more little bit to fix we're going to do tomorrow, but I just remember like coming in around 12 o'clock, and I wasn't wearing anything black. I was wearing I had this green shirt on and I had a hat, and I was just fucking baked, and I got into the shower, then it just felt so good, and then like that heat exhaustion started kicking in. I just started kind of just passing out on the couch, and I was like, oh shit, we got the show to do tonight. So started getting ready like a little while ago, and I was like, yeah, I'll be good at 5:30, and then it's like, oh, let's do 7. Even better. It worked out. But yeah, it's actually really nice. I mean, I know you guys probably remember the last one. It was just kind of like an open, kind of canopy. This one is enclosed. It has like a nice little net you can put up for privacy, or like if there's bugs or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
A mosquito net, and then it's a lot bigger and has a really nice support structure. We're gonna put a chandelier in there, make it all fancy and shit, But it's one of those million piece items.
Yeah.
And they got like 2 fucking assholes in the drawings. They're all smiling, like making it look easy, and me and my brother are like yelling at each other. It was kind of like that scene from the Ninja Turtles movie with Donnie and Casey Jones, where they're kind of going through the alphabet.
Yeah.
Except we just started and stayed on F for a while. So but like I said, we got it done, and it's probably the most time I spent outside since the quarantine started, just a little bit here and there. But yeah, it's getting hot, boys, so get ready.
It's supposed to cool off again this week, it down to the high 70s, low 80s. So
yeah.
Well, we've last few years usually it's real gloomy in June, as that's where the whole thing comes from. Yeah, it's been like that in April and May.
Yeah.
As opposed to happening in June. Recently, so.
I mean, our weather's just very, very, very bipolar as it is. So. You never really know what to expect.
Yeah. Well, I've gone through a little bit of that myself in the last few years. I know exactly what to expect, and that's to expect the unexpected. Although I will say this really quick, and I'll have to see how I can save it and send it to you guys. But I did get a very adorable video of Matthew on a slide. He learned how to climb and slide down a slide, which is really nice. So
very nice.
I don't know how to save it to my phone. She sent it like some weird file as a text message, but as soon as I figure it out, I'll send it to you guys. But it's actually really cute. He's climbing up there, and he's all about it, man.
Nice.
That's cool.
Yeah, the happiness of a child before they grow up to be an adult and the world crushes them.
Right.
Yeah. So on that note, Jeremy's doing pretty good.
He's all right.
It's wonderful.
He's doing all right, man. He's actually really interesting. I talked to him the other day. He gave me his WrestleMania review. Mm-hmm. He was not a fan of the Boneyard match. He did not like the cinema style presentation of it. Yeah. Mm. He said that
he's never been one for taste. So
well, no, he makes a good point. He goes that at that point, if you have to basically start and stop to hide that you're too old to wrestle, you shouldn't be wrestling.
Oh, for sure.
And I thought that was a pretty valid point. I'm like, yeah, that's exactly right. Taker's, he's way up there in age and he can't run like he used to. But I was trying to convince him that it's something that's different that actually kind of works. And he's already like jaded where he goes, they're going to keep doing this over and over again, right? I said, yeah, they're probably going to do, maybe Money in the Bank will probably be the same way. But I don't know, he's been kind of hanging in there and, watching wrestling and kind of understanding the loss of the innocence. Like he gets it. Like it's really dumb. He's like, I haven't watched wrestling in a while. I said, yeah, neither have I. So, but I don't know. I just thought that was really interesting. I mean, he's 12 years old and he's already thinking like a 40-year-old Mark.
He's already thinking Mark. About the type of guy that's been crushed under the weight of WWE's bad booking.
Yeah, it's like a terrible relationship. She's gonna change, and she doesn't change.
It never changes. Yeah.
Never
seen all the red flags there, but you don't pay attention to them,
Yeah. No, I mean, what's in conclusion, it's cool because he's becoming his own person and he's forming his opinions, and they're really like well thought out opinions. Like, you talk to a kid like, oh, that sucks. Why does it suck? Because it sucks. He'll tell you why. And it's actually like, okay, yeah, it's pretty logical. So, hats off to him. He's doing good with this whole thing. It sucks because I haven't seen him in a long time and I miss him. And, I talk to him every week and I don't know, it's kind of starting to really, it's wearing down on me. Like I can't see him in this whole quarantine, but at the same time, you got to play it safe. So everybody make sure you have your bleach ready and start chugging that down so we can go back to normal.
Absolutely.
You guys heard about that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do the old Sarah Connor and just get a nice syringe of pipe cleaner. So.
Anyway, sorry. I'm sorry, boys. I kind of carried on there. You know how parents talk about their kids.
Yeah.
No, not really.
No, I don't know.
All right. How guys talk about their dogs, right?
Okay, yeah, I can agree with that.
Nope, I don't know.
Just know that if we didn't have cell phones, Dave, you'd be carrying pictures of your dog in your wallet. I know that for a fact.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, definitely. She's right over there.
Yeah.
She's asleep on the couch. So, wondering why it's so goddamn hot in the living room. So,
right.
Because it's like 900 degrees outside.
Oh yeah, I had to turn off the air conditioner because that's all you guys would have heard. So I had to put the TV on full blast just to hear it. So just to hear the TV whenever the air's on.
When we have our air on, we got the ceiling fan going on. We have a tower fan and a box fan.
It's all going
just to keep the air circulated because it gets damn hot in the studio.
Yeah.
Well,
how is it right now for you?
It's actually not too bad. It's pretty cool in here.
Okay, that's good.
So, because luckily where the air conditioning vent is, the cold air shoots right at the ceiling fan.
Okay. Yeah.
So it catches it and just swirls it around. So.
Well, we all know the magic spots right there in your kitchen as you enter the living room.
Oh yeah.
God damn, dude, that spot's amazing.
That was the spot yesterday. We were all cooking in the kitchen at the same time yesterday.
Oh, wow. Oh man.
We had the burners going. We had the stove going. So.
What do you got? Chop filming in your kitchen? What's going on?
Well, yeah. I mean, Bobby Flay needs somewhere to cook. So.
Shit.
Yeah.
Dude, I would love for you to challenge Bobby Flay, man. Just show him who's boss.
We'll make those bacon cheeseburger bombs that we made yesterday. So.
Yeah, those sounded good, dude.
Those were good, man. They were tasty. So then I made a homemade Big Mac sauce.
Oh, there you go.
So.
Very nice, dude.
So that'll be my contribution the next time we have a little wrestling pay-per-view get together.
There you go.
So,
hey, man, I'm looking forward to it, dude.
So in 2022, when we're all finally able to go outside.
Yeah, right, huh? And fuck up the earth.
Right.
Yeah.
Fuck it up again.
Just so we can catch up where we left off. The second the all clear is sound and we can go outside, everyone just start spraying hairspray into the ozone. We have to get that shit back to where it was.
Just turn on your cars, all of them. Just let them run.
Yeah.
So
all those years of hard work down the drain, huh?
Yeah.
We're gonna have an hourly demolition derby. Is what we're gonna have every hour on the hour.
and I cannot wait for that.
God damn, dude. But all right. Well, I'm glad everyone's doing good. Before we went on the air, Bubs, when you joined us, I was asking Dave how Claire was doing with everything. I don't know if you talked to him recently.
Well, besides the group messages, so
yeah. You guys pretty much know everything. I don't want to get into it on the podcast. It's not.
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
know, that's. I don't think Claire would want me to talk about it. So.
I'm sorry about that, man. I was just trying to.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
Trust me, we're both affected by it. So. But yeah, I mean, other than that, it hasn't been too bad. At least she's been able to be off work. So.
Yeah.
No.
Relax at home with you.
Pretty much, yeah. We sleep most of the day. Both of all three of us over here. That's all we do is sleep.
Yeah.
I got some quality video game time in today, so that was nice.
Yeah. Did you? Sick.
So played Madden 20 and MLB The Show 19 because I'm too poor to get the new game. So
I recently started replaying Batman Arkham Knight again.
Nice.
And game's cool, but damn, man, it can be a bitch sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting there like, fuck, I can't do it. So.
I think in MLB The Show 19, it's they have the same feature that's in 20. You can import your own music.
Oh, sick! There you go.
Yeah, so I think that's one of the features in 19. So on 20, I deleted all the songs I turned off all the songs on their jukebox, and I imported all the MVP baseball soundtracks into the game. So, with the whole metered pitching and everything, it's kind of like MVP.
What's your walk-up music?
Well, I imported that, and I usually just play pitcher. So that's been my road to the show as that I wanted to be a starter, but they made me a relief pitcher, which sucks that they could do that too.
Aren't you in control of the game though? Can't you?
Well, no. When you do the road to the show, you can pick your position. So I picked starting pitcher, and that's what I started at. And then when they called me up
so bad.
No, I was doing pretty good, but when they called me up to the major leagues, they're like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna make you the closer, and there's nothing you could do about it." So,
just do Dave a favor. Don't call him Rocket anymore. Huh?
So I already broke Mariano Rivera's
save that's record. Mel Clark.
Used to be.
Yeah, used to be.
But my warm-up music is Mouth for War. So,
it should have been Mr. Downtown.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, if I was a batter, yeah, okay, but
that bass line striking fear in the hearts of the batter. Yeah. What's his name?
They call him Mr. Downtown for all the home runs he gives up.
Fuck.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a negative sign next to your stats there, but hey.
I got an ERA floating about 96 now, so.
This guy fucking, he's on the injured reserve and gets a fucking walk-off hit. All right. That's enough baseball chat there. Nah, who am I kidding? There can never be enough baseball chat.
Exactly.
God damn, man. You miss it, Bubs?
Oh, God, dude, I'm dying without baseball.
Well,
so
I
have this thing where I go on Facebook in the morning and I check my memories.
Yeah.
And then I'll scroll up, and then it'd always be, especially around this time, there's always a baseball game that I've gone to, whether it's Cal State Fullerton or the Angels. And I'll look at Elizabeth and be like, hey, 8 years ago today, I went to a baseball game. I remember when I used to go to baseball games. And then today, she scrolled on her memories, and she scrolled up, and we went to an Angel game like 3 years ago with our friends, Amber and Larry. And she's like, hey, look. And I was like, oh, look, we went to a baseball game that day. I remember when we used to go to baseball games.
You think that's crazy, dude? One of my memories from today was you going to a baseball game.
Oh, my God.
Wouldn't surprise me, man.
Hey, you remember when you commented on this when Bubs went to a baseball game? Like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, hopefully our sports fix we'll finally get our fix soon because I know NHL, they haven't officially announced it, but teams are scheduling training camps for May 15th.
Sick.
So I mean, yeah, it's going to be empty arenas, but at least they'll get the rest of the season and the Stanley Cup playoffs finished. So hopefully that'll mean baseball will soon, slowly but surely, getting back to business. And then I mean, they had the first NFL draft, the virtual NFL draft over the weekend, so that was interesting.
The best part was Bill Belichick's dog.
Yeah, no, the best part was watching Roger Goodell slowly lose interest in it towards the end, and you could tell he was drinking because he kept losing more and more clothes. Like he was wearing like a full-on suit, and he was standing, and then he took his suit jacket off, and then he put a sweater on, and then he was sitting finally, and then he just stopped giving a fuck about what the teleprompter said. And you could just see he was like just completely beat red and drunk on air because he was like slurring his words and everything. So it was pretty awesome.
What the hell are you wearing a belt for? You're naked. God damn, dude. I didn't even know about that there was a virtual draft.
But they can't have it. They were supposed to have it in Vegas this year.
Yeah.
But since, everything shut down, they had to kind of go on the fly and do this virtual thing. I know the WNBA did it 2 weeks ago, but that's not a sport, so we're not going to get into it. So,
yeah, they could have done it. They could have borrowed WWE's crowd cheer sound effect.
Yeah,
if there's anything left.
Well, it was actually quite funny because, like every time they have a draft, they have like when the commissioner first walk on stage, they'll boo him. Goodell actually did that. He's like, there's some traditions that we can't stop, so. He came out and said, "Welcome to the 2020 NFL virtual draft," and then they played a crowd booing soundbite after he said it. So, having a sense of humor about it. So that was kind of
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, the NFL had tons of stock footage on that, I'm sure.
Well, no, my thing about that was that they're trying to own it like WWE does when they want to kill something that's getting over. So. They'll start putting a hashtag on it, and they'll just shove it down everybody's throat, and then eventually it's not going to be any fun to do.
No.
So, it's always going to be fun to boo Roger Goodell. So, I mean, he's not as bad as Bettman, but he's still an ass.
Yeah.
I think the only sports commissioner I like right now is Adam Silver of the NBA.
Yeah.
And even him, I don't like that much. I don't like Rob Manfred of MLB, so especially when he brought down the punishment for the Red Sox and the Astros, basically just a little slap on the wrist.
Yeah.
So
I think he's trying to have consistency, but I'm like, these guys literally cheated the years they went and won the World Series. So just like. That's all you're going to do to them. I don't care that they didn't use these methods during the actual World Series. The fact that they used it going into the playoffs is bad.
Yeah.
So,
but I don't know. Give them some punishment. Shit, make them all wear dresses for a season. I don't care.
Well, they can't punish any players because of the agreement on the CBA that the last time that they had one. So. No players can be punished because it's a union deal.
Oh God!
Oh well, there you go.
I mean, I understand why the players would want to stay out of it, but I'm just like, if you're directly responsible for cheating, you should be punished.
Absolutely. Yeah.
If somebody corked their bat or got popped for steroids, they would get suspended.
Yeah.
You all right there, Bubs?
Oh, yeah, I'm playing around with Elizabeth.
Got moves, baby. Got moves.
What are you drinking tonight, Dave?
Well, I drank Golden Road Pineapple Cart.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And then right now I'm working on a Stone Tangerine Express IPA. and this is hard because I'm not a big IPA guy. So
it's a struggle.
I'm drinking Kroger purified drinking water.
Purified.
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 Can't see my booze bottles in the back, can you? You tell I'm slurring a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing the Goodell.
Goodell.
It's only a matter of time before the shirt goes and the hat goes.
That's right.
Oh yeah. So, but yeah,
I already lost my hat, so.
Dave's drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I am. I'm drunk. So.
Yeah.
Drunk podcasting.
So, do we have any news or anything we want to talk about?
No.
For the week, let's see.
Kim Jong-un may be dead. May not be dead.
I did see that.
Possibly. Probably not.
Knowing them that he's probably been dead for like the last 5 years.
Yeah.
So.
They just like had a clone out there.
They just like weekend to Bernie him, you know.
Right.
Just drag his old corpse everywhere.
Ho Chi Minh, shoot a load on your chin.
I don't know, man. I'm just waiting for Rodman's tweet.
Oh yeah.
I feel like he's the official confirmation on that.
Once
he
is.
is.
Little like Instagram tribute to him.
Have you guys watched any of that Bulls documentary yet?
Mm-mm.
No. Yeah, I watched the first 2 episodes. They're pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm recording them, so.
Yeah, I just rewatched because I signed up for ESPN Plus. So I just rewatched the history of the Celtics and Lakers that they did for 30 for 30. That was pretty good.
Nice.
Though they like stop after the 80s, they don't even bother talking about 2008 to 2000 what?
Yeah, I mean
10, 11.
It wasn't really a heated rivalry like ABC and all the sports outlets made it out to be. I mean, yeah, it was a classic. They were trying to rejuvenate the rivalry, but it wasn't as intense as it was in the 80s because those teams didn't hate each other like the 80s teams did.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the 80s Celtics and the 80s Lakers hated each other. The 60s and the 70s Lakers and Celtics hated each other. The 2010s, I mean, really there is no heated rivalries in the NBA anymore. There's no blood rivalries. I think really the last one that we had was probably the Lakers and the Kings.
Yeah, you have the modern day rivalry where it's just like, oh, they beat us and we hate them. But it's in sports nowadays, with the exception of like hockey, football. I really don't know too much if they're baseball to a degree, but like there isn't that like age old rivalry that stands the test of time like it used to be back in the day, especially in the NBA or from what I've seen. But it was just showtime in the 80s, man. Like you can do just documentary after documentary of that era between the Lakers and the Celtics because you had these larger than life characters and it just transcended the basketball court. But
modern day NBA rivalries go like this. You have 2 teams that are competitive against each other and one team that is an underdog but probably should beat the other team loses. So the star player from the losing team will go join the team that beat him to win the championship. So that's modern day NBA rivalries right now, right, Kevin Durant?
Yeah, pretty much.
So
exactly what it is. I mean, but it isn't like your all-time great rivalries. And I know we've talked about that in the past. I mean, you talk about some of the more epic ones that transcend sports. I mean, for me personally, it's the Dodgers and the Giants. I keep that one alive. Like I don't. For me, it's to the degree that I don't let anyone in my house wearing a Giants hat, shirt, anything. I don't give a fuck who you are. That's the one rivalry that I definitely take to heart. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to beat up a fan.
So you're telling me if you invite me over to something that I have to come to and I don't want to, I just have to wear a Giants hat and I don't have to show up?
Yeah. Pretty much.
That's your jail-free card right there.
I'm glad I've got that out.
Well, I mean, I like to think, Bubs, you can just say, hey, I don't want to fucking go. And I'd be like, all right.
Oh, it'd show up anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know what I mean? Like, it's just like there's just some rivalries that are like epic and will continue on for the ages until the new generation takes over and they wrap themselves in their comfort blankets and to hide from the words that bother them and shit. And like, can we all get along? But
I mean, the most recent like kind of blood feud I could think of is Calgary and Edmonton.
Yeah.
So especially with the whole Zach Cassian, Matthew Tkachuk turmoil, which was pretty awesome. But baseball, there's really not much going on. It's really
just the classics. There's no new rivalries.
Well, even the Red Sox, even the piss has been taken out of the Red Sox and Yankees.
Yeah.
I mean, the Red Sox have been okay. The Yankees are starting to get back up to prominence. And now the Red Sox are starting to slide a little bit. But, I mean, really, there's your interdivisional feuds, like with the Angels and the Rangers, or the Angels and the A's, the Dodgers and Giants, Cardinals and Cubs. But there really hasn't been any, like, blood feuds where, like, teams actually hated each other. So...
Yeah. I was kind of hoping LA and Houston would start some shit, but that doesn't seem to be the case.
Well, right now it's going to be everybody against Houston and everybody against Boston. So more Houston than anything. So
yeah, Boston's more of the whole vibe of guilty by association kind of thing.
Yeah. But, you doing okay over there, Dave?
Yeah, I was trying to take off my sandal. So
yeah.
I thought you were trying to get a fart out.
So that too.
Like, but... He's over there like bouncing. He's up on one leg.
Yeah.
So.
Not Mike though. Mike's perfectly comfortable in his bed.
That's right.
He's just like, not me, man.
Making sure I don't have any pit sweat. All right, I'm good.
I don't think I do anyway.
No, you wouldn't know. Wearing black.
That's true.
No, I haven't showered in 3 weeks. So.
God bless. Shower with a shower.
There's no point. I'm married. I don't have to impress anybody anymore.
Right. I don't give a shit what I look or smell like.
Just stick to the Kelly Blue Book value, I guess.
Right. Hey, there's Daisy, man.
Hey.
Oh,
how's it going, pretty girl?
Crispy.
There he is. There she is.
Hello.
I don't know where my jerk face animal went. So, oh, he's laying over there. Okay. Punk.
Daisy's wondering why it got so hot in here. So.
Yeah.
She's like, what the fuck?
She's like over there crashing on the couch, and she gets up, and now she's drinking water. So she's like, okay, it's way too hot in here. So.
Yeah, I thought I was gonna learn how to work the air conditioning soon.
She's like, fuck you. If you won't put it on, I will.
All right.
Is there anything else that we need to report on? Any news?
Nope.
All right. So, do we want to get on the list?
Yeah, let's do it, man.
All right.
Did you do the math, or do you want me to send it to you guys?
I didn't do the math. So.
All right, I'll send it to you guys real quick.
Yeah.
Hold on, give me a second.
Yeah, I think we all put our list up pretty fast, so.
Yeah.
Besides me. What did me?
Well, Bubs, I was telling Dave that for me, I already had this list pretty much written out already. I could have swore that we were going to do it for a topic before, so I had it ready to go. I just had to find it on my phone, and once I did, I just had to do the top 5 because I did a top 10. So for me, It was probably the easiest one. I'm just copy paste, good to go, and then just waiting to see everybody else's list and seeing what was picked. But I'm gonna mention the other half of my list at the end as my honorable mentions. But all right.
Daisy's being funny.
Oh.
She started licking my toe, so it tickled my foot.
I'm not gonna lie to you. That was my first guess. I go, "What? Did the dog start licking your toe?" And then, sure enough, it's exactly what happened.
All right, I sent you guys a list. So,
all right,
since Crispy, it's your idea. Well, actually, you're on your phone, so I don't know if that'll be a problem. So.
Well, I mean, you guys can still see me, right?
Yeah.
For right now, yeah.
Okay. So, I'm sorry. So it was my list. You want me to go through it?
No, like since it's your idea, present the idea.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Sure. Sorry, man. It was brain fart there. Yeah. So this week, for the list, we decided to do our top 5 Slipknot songs.
Yes.
I think it's safe to say that across the board, we're all big Slipknot fans. Definitely familiar with their catalog, so songs would be an easy pick for us versus albums, even though we could have done albums and Dave could have clearly done Iowa based on his list. So
Yeah. Pretty.
But yeah, so it's top 5 Slipknot songs that we feel are the best.
Yeah. Now this is in typical. We're doing this in like the Fat List way, where we rank them and take the top 5 and present them. At the end of the list, we'll talk about our own top 5s. You know.
Okay.
So
yeah.
So number 5 is Left Behind. Now, this is on here because I ranked this my number 1.
Okay. Yeah.
This was what, the lead single off Iowa, I want to say?
It was, yeah. It was the
Absolutely,
first
yeah.
single released in, was it 2000, 2001? Somewhere around there?
I think 2001.
2001, yeah.
Also the lead track on the Resident Evil
Right.
Apocalypse
Let me
soundtrack?
check right now.
I do not know. I know My Plague was one of the...
My Plague, never mind.
My Plague
Yeah.
was on,
My
was
Plague
on
was
the
okay.
original
yeah.
Resident Evil 1.
The remix version of My Plague is on, I think, Resident Evil 2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it does say,
Or,
yeah,
no, like
2001,
Resident
yeah.
Evil 2. Because then a few years later, and then a couple years later, Killswitch did the lead single with End of Heartache on the Resident Evil soundtracks. So, yeah.
You guys say, just on a quick side note, man, I've actually recently been watching those movies, and I gotta say, man, they're actually really pretty good for what they are.
Oh yeah.
They're actually really good films, and I have 2 left to watch. I can't find them anywhere. I'm probably just gonna rent them on YouTube. But Bubs, I know you have the complete collection.
I think I have all.
Yeah. So and then killer soundtrack, and when this Slipknot track comes up, it like definitely goes with the vibe. I think it actually takes it to the next level. I mean, Slipknot's been a very aggressive band since they first came out. This track, Left Behind, the single off of Iowa, they're coming off of just consistent touring. They're fucking tired. They're burnt out. They go straight into a studio and they let it all hang out, man. It's a really aggressive album. And this song here, I mean, when you first heard Slipknot, you're thinking, holy shit, this is pretty aggressive. And it gets even more aggressive, which really kind of blew my mind as a kid back in the day when it came out. But as heavy as it is, it's still pretty melodic. And the concept of the song, I mean, if you really dissect the lyrics, it's just some really heavy shit, man.
Yeah. I think the most interesting thing is that they kind of like, they still had the DJ and everything, like he's always been there.
Sid Wilson.
Yeah, but they like on Iowa, just overall they didn't do, like, they kind of dropped the rap element to their their sound, that like new metal sound that they had.
Yeah, it's really interesting because Craig does the kind of aesthetics and the weird sounds and shit like that, but it kind of sometimes bleeds into what Sid Wilson does. I mean, obviously he scratches, but he also does a lot of that ambient sound too. So you didn't really hear too much of it, but he was still contributing quite a bit as a member, just in other elements, in the songs there. Not like in the first album where you hear a lot of scratching and a lot of, DJ stuff, but just really samples is the word I was looking for. Craig's a sampler, and Sid does that too. But I mean, Dave, obviously you picked this as your number 1 song because to you, I'm sure it probably had some sort of meaning or something.
No, it just fucking rocks. So
okay,
Fucking tight.
Well said, sir.
I mean, what else do you need? What else do you need it to do? Need it to be? Like if you're gonna introduce someone to Slipknot, I think that's like one of the most perfect songs you could, show them.
Yeah.
Definitely debatable, and we have the list here to prove it. But I mean, it's definitely. I think it's a great example of what Slipknot can do on the heavy side.
Well, I think it's a good like. It's a good combination of what they do in later albums, also. You know, why I think it's one of like the most perfect Slipknot songs is because it's accessible, despite it being as heavy as it is. Mm-hmm. It's very accessible. You know.
Yeah.
And the video is pretty fucking awesome, also.
And it's kind of crazy to me that, I mean, this is kind of where Slipknot was like really hitting their peak and starting to become more mainstream. But it's funny that in the U.S. it only charted at number 30.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah, they didn't really start like hitting it huge until like
Subliminal versus
Subliminal. Yeah.
Yeah, that was really like a super big one for them.
And now every time they release an album, it goes number 1 to Billboard. So
yeah, true.
Yeah, it was the changing of the guard with the mainstream and new metal kind of, I don't want to say dominating, but making its presence known. Slipknot certainly was a different kind of act. I mean, it was the first time I think any of us had ever heard of a band having 9 members. Yeah. And obviously the theatrics that were involved. They had their the jumpsuits, the masks, the numbers, the symbolism was through. There was just something that really identified with the youth, and that changing of the guard, much like Nirvana in the early 90s. If you grew up in the later end of the 90s into the 2000s, I mean, this definitely was your teen angst. And I mean, Left Behind is a heavy fucking song. It's definitely in heavy rotation, on my playlist, especially like when I go to the gym. And there's something about it is because as heavy as it is, it still drives and it's very melodic. And, it just starts, with that kind of, where it ends, where Slipknot ends off, that first album, it kind of picks it right back up and takes it to 11, as Spinal Tap would say. So it's a good pick for this list. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I know it's coming off of Iowa, and Iowa was always kind of hit or miss for me. Like the first half of Iowa is just fantastic. I think I used to have this thing, like, forgive me for, I don't remember the exact track listing, but it's like listen 1 through 7, skip 8, listen to 9, and then forget about the rest.
Yeah, I would just kind of like the way
that's how I would listen to the album. But Left Behind was definitely bunched up in there. That's probably my favorite, either my favorite or second favorite song off of that album. And by the way, Iowa charted at 3.
Oh, did okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So like that's when, like I said, that's when Slipknot really started hitting their stride. And even though it wasn't really accepted by a lot of hardcore Slipknot fans, so that's when their sound became a little bit more clean.
Yeah.
But they took some chances.
I loved Iowa. So I think the only album from Slipknot I've never really enjoyed was The Great Chapter. So and that was about it.
Yeah, I will agree with you on that. It's not a terrible album. I mean, Slipknot doesn't have any terrible albums, to be honest with you. But if you had to rank them, I can understand that being kind of low on the list for sure.
Yeah.
So, Mike, you want to chime in on before we move on to the next song?
Yeah, it was pretty much the same thing. Like it's kind of one of those songs where it was very, like I said, transitional song for them. Like still kind of like heavy, but kind of like steering away from like that older sound. So it's good shit. It's good shit.
It's good shit.
Yeah, but like Crispy said, it's always been in heavy rotation, especially when I work out.
Absolutely.
My once a year.
Once a year.
I think it goes without saying, man. I mean, the drums, the percussions on that song, they really get you going, dude.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That double kick comes right. It comes in, it gets right in your face, and it stays there the whole fucking song. So, hats off to Joey and Sean and Chris on that one.
Yeah. Totally.
That's right. Don't worry, guys. I know my knots, so I'll fill in the gaps with members' names and shit.
Come here, Daisy. Come here.
All right, we go to the next one.
All right, number 4, with 7 points is Psychosocial.
Great fucking track.
I actually think I rank Psychosocial as my number one song.
Yeah, I think
You
so.
did actually, yeah.
I'm trying to look back. So
See, but
now,
yeah.
Here's my problem with Psychosocial is that ever since I heard the Baby Baby cover,
see,
I haven't been able to listen to it
I
without
was
laughing.
I was gonna get to that because I picked Psychosocial as my number one because I feel that it's a perfect mix of Slipknot.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the rawness and aggressiveness that we got from their self-titled debut, and just kind of how they developed over the years and became more melodic.
Yeah.
Corey wasn't just yelling and screaming as much. He was kind of doing this scream sing thing, and he would actually like sing more than he would scream.
Yeah.
And
it was kind of like the best of their both worlds.
Yeah, it in a way it's kind of like like what Metallica did with Hardwired. It was like a mix of all of their sounds, and I just felt that Psychosocial is just the perfect mix of all their sounds. Lyrically, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Vocally, it's fantastic. Musically, it's fantastic. And then when you mash it up with Justin Bieber's Baby, it makes it even that much better because that song is the creepiest mashup, but you cannot stop listening to it.
Yeah.
Like, I love listening to mashups, and that's one I can honestly say that I've listened to over and over again because it's just haunting almost.
Yeah.
I think what that's the thing about Slipknot is that what happened?
I think Crispy went on pause.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What I love about Slipknot is that they, if Corey Taylor wanted to, he could probably make great pop music because he's just that. Yeah,
he has a great voice. It's very melodic and shit. So yeah.
And I sent you guys that one video like a couple months back from Bill McClintock on YouTube.
Yeah.
The mashup guy. He did Wannabe and I think it was Sulfur.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, I think I saw that.
And it's like one of those same things is that they just match up so perfectly that I just want to hear it over and over again.
Yeah.
So.
And the video's fucking great for that song anyway, too. I mean, the video by itself is fucking so cool.
But, I think that's what, with, Corey Taylor's, ability to make pop music if you wanted to, is the reason why it's so accessible to, be able to mash up with, the Spice Girls or Justin Bieber or whoever,
Yeah. It definitely has that niche if you wanted to.
I mean, that era, the All Hope Is Gone, the first time I think they recorded that in Iowa, being at home, it was a totally different vibe. To me, Psychosocial, what makes it incredibly amazing is the fact that Corey just, he's screaming, does the scream singing like Bub said, and then he cuts right into that very melodic chorus and doesn't miss a beat. Even when they perform it live, I mean, it's flawless. And, there are so many Slipknot tracks that show what Corey's capable of doing, both on the heavy side and the cleaner melodic side. This one definitely is the best. And that it's such a catchy, song when you hear, especially that chorus and the lyrics and what's going on here. It's Psychosocial. The name of the song is very interesting because it's just it sounds kind of dumb, but it's anything but. When that song kicks in, I want to say it was it was either that or Sulfur. I mean, definitely one of the first release tracks from that album.
Psychosocial was the first track off.
Yeah,
I remember that was like a big event. Like everybody was trying to listen to it.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, it's a killer song, and I definitely think it deserves the top 5 slot for sure.
Yeah,
I'm in agreement wholeheartedly, even though it wasn't on my top 5, but I definitely agree with that.
Any else on Psychosocial?
It's a fucking great track. I mean, like I said, on my playlist too, it's definitely on my top 3 of heavy rotation. So good stuff.
All right. Number 3 with 8 points, or technically these are tied for 2 and 3 with 8 points is Snuff and Before I Forget.
Oh man.
Wow.
Oh fuck.
Well, since I put Snuff at number 2 on my list, I'm obviously going to want to rank that higher than Before I Forget. But Snuff and Psychosocial, they were the two songs that those are my two absolute favorite Slipknot songs.
Okay.
And I battled back and forth on which one I wanted to pick. And I went with Psychosocial over Snuff just because of how heavy and how fast and how hard it is. Yeah. Snuff is more on that. Snuff is, also very heavy and also very melodic. But for me, Snuff also is very personal to me because when that song came out, I was going through a lot of stuff. And lyrically, that song spoke to me more than really any song in the Slipknot catalog. I mean, I was in a pretty bad, dark place at the time, going through a situation with somebody, and I don't know, the song just really hit home. And even to this day, like I listen back and I think of like where I was when it came out, and I'm just like, wow, I was pretty fucked up back then. But
you're still pretty fucked up right now.
Well, yeah, I'm always gonna be fucked up. I mean, you grew up with me, so. Yeah. But it's just as sad as it is. It is a very beautiful song, and it once again shows Corey Taylor's range. Yeah. As far as a vocalist, he's not just a metal singer or a screamer, like Dave alluded to when we were talking about Psychosocial. The way that his voice sounds, he could easily make pop music. You could probably take the words to Snuff and probably remix it with some kind of a poppy beat in the back, like not an uppity song, but just a very sad pop song.
Yeah.
It's got a great little guitar riff at the beginning. I just love how the song kind of builds to the end of it, and I don't know, it's just a fantastic song.
Well, Bubs, I got to say that I'm kind of in the same boat. The first part of what you said definitely almost mirrored image. I mean, it was number 2 on my list too. And to me, you could split Slipknot songs into 2 categories: the heavy and the not heavy. Snuff would definitely be the number 1 in the not heavy section. I think it would be kind of weird for a band like Slipknot to have their number 1 song be something like Snuff. That being said, it is an incredibly powerful song. It's hauntingly beautiful. I mean, when you really dissect the lyrics, it's very personal. Corey's really kind of coming from the soul, from beyond the soul, really. The arrangements, I mean, even though it is on the lighter side musically, it's still heavy. It still hits you. I mean, it's still it's like that vulgar display of power punch to the face, but just in a different light. I definitely think that it's one of those songs where, you listen to it over and over again, and it just gets better and better. And I think everyone can relate to some aspect of that song, whether it's, the story behind it in a similar aspect to your life. You're going through a bad time. You're in a shit mood. You're not feeling it, because it's really compelling. It really is, music is a healing factor. And it really is, as, Steve-O says, it's music for the soul. Our music is food for the soul, and it's exactly what it is. And it's one of those songs where I do listen to it a lot, but just kind of when I'm down and out. Really, it doesn't get you pumped and going like other Slipknot songs, but it does kind of pump you up in a different light, and kind of get you thinking about your life and how things are going. So it's a very powerful song, and it's a great example of how you can't really judge a band based on what you see or hear, because they're multi-layered. There's different layers to Slipknot here, and Subliminal Verses, volume 3 of Subliminal Verses was the first time you started kind of hearing them go in a different light, much like how Metallica did back in the day, and they got criticized. I don't know if anyone really criticized Slipknot. I think it was a weird kind of acceptance where the fans were.
I don't know, a lot of hardcore Slipknot fans were not happy that they went a little melodic. I mean, more people who appreciated music, especially like metal fans that appreciate just music, they were happy to see it. But a lot of like hardcore Slipknot fans who wanted them to just stick to what they did during, like, with their self-titled stuff, it's like that's what they wanted and that's what they wanted to hear. And that's when they kind of went on this crusade that, oh, Slipknot sucks and Slipknot's shitty and they're the worst metal band ever. Oh, but I like their old stuff.
I mean, oddly enough, I never heard that, but it's certainly understandable. I mean, people are just going to be stuck on.
It's all over. It's all over the Google Chromes, dude.
Well, I'm not as active in my surfing of the web like I used to be. But I mean, like I said, I mean, I think you make a good point. People just get stuck, and they want the heavy.
I think what people were afraid of is that Slipknot would just become Stone Sour.
Well, yeah, that's I was just gonna say that
because
Go ahead.
I was about to say this. Snuff and even like Vermilion Part 2 could be like easily placed on a Stone Sour album, and it'd be like right at home.
Yeah, but to be fair though, I mean, a lot of Stone Sour stuff, especially the early stuff, if you will, I mean, that could easily be Slipknot without the excessive. I don't want to say excessive, but with the extra percussions. I mean, the first Stone Sour album is fucking heavy, and there are tracks on there where because it's Corey Taylor, it's the same vocals. He doesn't really change his style, So when he sings, it's the Corey Taylor way of singing. So you're gonna, you have to really listen to the song. If you're kind of lukewarm on both bands, you have to really listen to the song to know if that's Stone Sour, or if that's Slipknot, or that's even Corey Taylor solo stuff or stuff that he does on his own. But that being said, I mean, number 2 I think is very fitting for Snuff. I think it earns its right to be. And before I forget, I mean, not to take anything away from that song, that is a killer fucking track. And you talk about a melodic heavy hook. And
I mean, even for me,
builds.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like that's a song that I always kind of throw on to get me like pumped up, like in any kind of like playlist or like situation like that, that's a song that that really gets shit going for me. But
interesting side note on that track is that used to be especially in the clubs like the Improv, Greg Giraldo would come out to that song.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh nice.
Because I saw Giraldo before he died, and that was when it was just, when you hear that. I mean, it gets you pumped, man. I mean,
well, it's that opening riff, like that opening riff right away. You're just like, here we go,
And then we talked about the Snuff video, but like that video for Before I Forget, I mean, just it's incredible.
Yeah, got the masks and you see and you get on like see their faces and anything, right?
It's a very simple concept of a video, but it's just very cool and very like pleasing to watch.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot of symbolism there too.
Yeah,
I like the song. It's heavy, it's hard, and it does get you pumped up. But for me, as far as a Slipknot song, it's a little too stock.
Okay.
I mean, it's very simple for a Slipknot song. When you listen to Slipknot, you expect like complicated arrangements and just something that's not of the norm. Like I could hear like bands like I hate to say what's the like not Throwdown, like Shinedown. They could easily do like Before I Forget because it's very straightforward, it's very simple, it's very stock, but still a good song. The video is amazing, it's very pleasing. It's not a very long song either.
It's pretty straightforward. A couple minutes.
I mean, I hear what you say, Bubs, and to me, it's more of like it's more mainstreamy Slipknot. I'll give you that, but it does feature a lot of their classic signatures, a lot of vibrato, in the guitars, the parts. It's I don't want to say watered. I know what you're saying. It's not like a watered down version, but it's just like obviously it sounds like a track. It sounds like a track that would be on a later album. You definitely would not fit anywhere near the first 2 albums. I mean, obviously it's on the 3rd album, so it's like right there.
Out of all the singles on the Subliminal Verses, it's easily the weakest.
Okay.
So, in my opinion.
Okay.
I mean, you could argue that.
Yeah.
I do agree that it's very like it's a song that I expect Slipknot to make, like just as like a middle of the album, like filler song. Every album has them, unless it's telling a certain story,
Yeah.
Well,
but
Bubs, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dave.
But I agree. Like to be honest, this made it on my list via coin flip. because I was having a hard time choosing between this and Sulfur.
Mhm.
So, like, I would be willing to put this at number 3.
Yeah.
You know, despite it being on my list. So,
I was gonna say, Bubs, in terms of like an analogy for the song, does it kind of feel like, because this happened at the Sabbath on Paranoid, they had the album finished, and then the network, the fucking record company was like,
So
hey,
watching ECW.
yeah, the network, the record company was like, hey, you guys need one more track, you need a single. So does it feel like it's one of those songs that probably came towards the end? Where it was like, you guys need something for like the radio kind of thing.
It sounds like a B-side or something that they just rushed to put on a soundtrack.
Okay, so it's in that ballpark. Okay.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like to me. I mean, it doesn't sound like a single to me. It sounds, like I said, it's very stock. It's very simple. It's very straightforward for a Slipknot song for me. I still like it. I still listen to it. It's still in my Slipknot rotation. But out of like all the Slipknot singles, I would say it's probably their weakest.
yeah.
It's probably not even in my top 10.
It's heavy for radio standard, but not heavy for Slipknot.
Right.
Okay. I'm just trying to.
It's kind of going back to what like the Slipknot Stone Sour thing. It sounds like a Stone Sour song rather than a Slipknot song.
I was going to compare it to a Stone Sour song because, like, sort of like what was it, 30-30-150?
Yeah.
So, like, very very much like that. So.
Okay. All right. No, I'm just trying to like kind of get
comprehend
understanding. But for me personally, like I said, it's high on my list, and the driving factor for me is actually the lyrics when you break it down.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a personal vibe for me. It's a very kind of motivational song for me, kind of when I need that little reminder of what I'm doing and where I'm going and shit like that. It's definitely a repeat on my gym playlist, as I mentioned before. So but I think we're pretty much in agreement here that Before I Forget's 3 and Snuff is 2.
Yeah.
Right across the board.
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
So,
is Snuff the only? Is that the second ballad type song that they've done? I know Vermilion. Vermilion.
No,
Vermilion was probably their slowest song, but
yes, because Vermilion Part 2 was like the first kind of ballad song that they did, and then because it was on All Hope Is Gone, and that was the next album, so I would say maybe Snuff was probably their second ballad.
Yeah.
Well, in terms of singles released, yes, but in terms of all songs on albums, no. If you go back to Volume 3, Slipknot has a song called Circle that's all acoustic.
Right. Yeah,
that's right.
And it's an incredible song.
Oh, definitely.
And this would have to be a fan-made thing. I don't think Slipknot would ever release it, but if a fan made a compilation of their lighter songs, if you will, I think Circle would definitely be on that. Vermilion Part 2 would be on that. Snuff, I think, would definitely take the top of that. But it's not. It's again, I just didn't know what you were going with. Singles released, yes, but not in total like their catalog, because Circle is actually one of my personal favorites as well. So
yeah,
I think that one's about his father too. So you guys heard the song, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Again,
I just forgot about it.
it's a great example of like heavy doesn't necessarily mean loud. So
yeah, true.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Any other thoughts on Before I Forget and Snuff?
No, I think we said it.
I think Snuff has one of the best music videos, man. It's very lynching. It's very weird, but it just works. I love it.
Yeah,
it's very artsy. It's
Didn't Corey Taylor direct the music video?
Yes, he did.
Did he? Oh,
did.
okay.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
That was I think that was like his first go around as far as directing.
I think he hit it out of the park, man. I think he did a great job.
Mm-hmm. There was isn't there a famous actor in the video?
I can't remember what it was. Shit.
Yeah, it was like an older actor, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up real quick.
Yeah, I want to say it was an older actor. I'll say this though. How do you feel about if a person was going to make a funeral playlist that they'd probably put this track on if they were a fan?
Yeah, I can see it.
Probably.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah. It kind of does have that vibe. for it as well. It's just, I don't know. There's just something about a tuned down acoustic, you know, when the notes ring out and it's just like this kind of eerie doom that goes over it, and then just the arrangement of the song, and then it gets heavy towards the end, which is cool. I mean, you know, I don't think Circle gets heavy at all. I think it just stays
that way. Yeah.
You know, that style throughout the whole song, but Snuff just picks up, and then, man, those vocals. Corey Taylor has been one of those singers that, you know, when he gets in the booth, man, whether he strips down naked and just screams and gives it everything he got, I mean, it goes without saying, dude, that he's probably one of the most important singers in the history of music. I don't know where he would rank on an official list, but I got to say, man, if it's not in the high sections, then I think people are totally, you know, undershooting what he's capable of. He's fantastic, and it's a good example lyrically too. All the songs we talked about so far, and I'm buying time for Bubs to look it up, but all the songs we talked about, the lyrics provided by Corey Taylor, man, I mean, they're just all over the place. Whether they're you know, figuratively speaking or personally, you know, from a personal you know, matter or part of his life or whatever it is. It's just, the man's a fantastic lyricist.
The actor is Malcolm McDowell.
Oh, that's what it was.
He plays Dr. Samuel Loomis from Rob Zombie's Halloween.
Also in Clockwork Orange.
He plays Alex in the Clockwork Orange.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I said, I knew it was the older guy, I just couldn't pinpoint it, man. Now I'm just kicking myself in the ass for that one.
He's been in a lot of stuff, but those were the two most notable. He did voice work for Star Wars Clone Wars.
Yeah, I can see that.
He's also in Tank Girl.
That's right, he's a Tank Girl. That's right.
Yeah, it's all flooding back. So, all right. Well, I think we could go to the next and final entry on our list there, Mr. Dandy.
Our number one with 10 points exactly is Duality.
There you go.
It was the only song on all four of our lists.
Number one on mine, and this would be the one, if I was going to introduce somebody to Slipknot, this would be the one to do it. I mean, just from the very beginning of when it picks up, it just grabs your attention and just takes you on this trip. I want to say this too. It's very interesting, this being the number one, obviously, on our list and whatnot, but that album is the only Slipknot album that doesn't have any cuss words on it.
That's right, yeah.
There's no vulgarity, there's no profanity. And the reason for that is because Corey Taylor was once responding to criticized because he swears a lot, and he says, well, I don't need to swear. And unlike Will Smith, he did something that meant something. And I mean, I think there's like very mild language on the Pulse of the Maggots, and to be honest with you, but the fact that this song is so heavy and there's not like one swear word, and it's Slipknot. And I mean, you talk about like Surfacing, for example, they're no strangers to it. I think it's a very, very heavy statement. And the song is I think this is some of Paul Gray's best work. I mean, so many songs in their catalog to demonstrate it, but that bass hook in that fucking song, I think, drives it. And when it breaks down and gets that quiet part in the video to match it up too with all the maggots in that house that's fucking destroyed, some poor fans house is fucking
wrapped to shreds, and
even the title Duality, god damn, that sounds like a Slipknot song, doesn't it?
Yeah. I think of a Slipknot can probably like copyright a phrase or a word, Duality would for sure be that,
Are you eating M&M's, Bubba?
No, I'm crushing a bottle.
Oh, okay. Sounded like an M&M bag.
When you go back, if you go back to watch this, because I don't think anybody saw it, go back to right before we started the list. I pulled out a snack.
Okay.
So
I did not catch it.
Okay.
I did not see it.
I'll have to fast forward through it.
It's an homage to a classic sports movie.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Oh, what could it be? We all have homework to do, boys, so get to it. But back to Duality. I'm sorry, Dave, go ahead.
Well, I was about to say that was probably the most perfect introduction to for Slipknot to their more mainstream sound that they ended up adopting.
Yeah.
Because, like, you know, they kind of built slow and then it just like gets right into it. Like, it's very powerful. So.
Yeah.
I think it goes without saying that Slipknot has so many memorable phrases that they've coined over the years through their lyrics. But to me, you cannot kill what you do not. You can't kill what you do not create. I think is probably one of the heavier, anthems, really.
Yeah.
And this coming from, again, and I mentioned it a little while ago, but surfacing, your new anthem for rebellion. So just well done, well written. The video is top notch. I think it was one of those that got a lot of attention when it premiered, and it was just, my God, I think there's a lot of metaphors, in that video. But again, Duality, like, it's just one of those songs. To be fair, with all the songs on this list, you hear the first couple of seconds of it, you know exactly what song it is.
Oh yeah. This one, and
I think it's one of the few, if not only, songs that start off with just vocals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whispering at that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very like low and kind of like picks up.
One thing I really love about the song. I'm sorry, Chris. You go ahead. I'll let you finish.
Just really quick. I want to say that I think he took the Jake the Snake Roberts approach. Like, anybody could scream, but when you whisper, you really get someone's attention. And I want to say that's the vibe he was going for. And I don't know about you guys, but for me, a lot of times I like to listen to music with the headphones on, to have the outside world, closed off and focus on it. Just to hear that, like the voice in your head, it's just like, oh, here we go, Yeah,
the one thing I like about it is just vocally how it's structured, because it's a very angry song.
Yeah.
And when he's singing the verses, it's almost like he's like whispering to himself, like doing that thing when you get so frustrated and you start talking to yourself. You're just like,
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And then you just fucking blow up when the verse kicks in.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I always like when I work out, my one time a year, that song's on my playlist, because like I'll listen to it and then I'll kind of pace my workout to it. Like right when he's singing just the few first lines of the verse, I'll like go a little slower, and then once he kicks in and once he starts yelling and screaming, then I up the intensity as well. So
yeah, it's like a guy walking around on the verge of breaking, and he's pissed off and he's mumbling to himself, and then he goes to tie his shoe and his shoelace snaps, and that's when he explodes. That's kind of like the vibe of the song.
Definitely.
So it's amazing.
I rank it number 2 on my angry songs. So
yeah,
songs I listen to when I'm angry, it's number 2 on my list.
Is Angry Chair number 1?
No.
Or Angry Again? Oh man,
that'll have to be its own top 10 list at some point.
Tear Away by Drowning Pool is number 1. So
okay,
that's my number 1 angry song.
Bubs, I'm not wearing a hat, but hats off to you, man. That's actually, I think, a damn good number 1. But Duality, man, like I said, if I meet someone and says, I've never heard of Slipknot, what should I hear? That's the first song I'm putting on, hands down.
Oh, easily.
Yeah,
easily.
So, but yeah, there it is, man. There's the top 5, and man, you know what? On any given day, any debate, I'm sure a lot of those songs could be rearranged in different orders. Whether number 5 or number 3 or whatever it is, I mean, those are all top songs for sure, man. They're all hits. They're all memorable for many reasons, and I mean, there's really so much to really go into it. But I know time is of the essence in this particular episode. But 1999, when I first heard Slipknot, I mean, it was just a life-changing event. It was how I imagine kids in the early 90s when like they first heard Nirvana, because it was just something wild. And I mean, not to sound so cliche, but for me, it was I had heard about them and really started discovering them in high school when I was in art class, and word started getting around, and it became this legend, this thing, Slipknot and their live shows. I mean, I have their albums, I have their DVDs. I've never seen them live. I've seen footage though, and it was just like, dude. I mean, it's as dangerous as a Pantera show was back in the day. I still think Pantera is probably one of the most wildest shows a person can go to in its era. But I mean, when the band starts beating each other up, it's crazy.
I've seen Slipknot twice,
Yeah.
And the first time I saw him was with Slayer.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's fucking
was
wild.
crazy. And then the second time I saw him was with Dave at the Mayhem Festival, right?
Yep, with him, Effer, and his girlfriend at the time.
Yeah, and then my buddy Paul was there.
Yeah.
So fresh off of ankle surgery after breaking it in the mosh pit of the
Nice.
Lamb of God Killswitch Engage show.
Yeah.
Coming back for more.
Yeah.
God bless you, know your priorities. But dude, Bubs, so you're telling me that you experienced Slipknot as the opener to Slayer?
Yeah. So
the fact that you're alive is a miracle,
dude.
Great,
it was crazy, dude. Because Slayer fans, Slayer fans, when you go see a Slayer show, that's the only band they want to see.
Yeah.
They don't want to see any other opening act. So when Slipknot's on stage, they were booing, they were throwing shit at him, and Corey ate it up. He loved it. But then you had the Slipknot fans that, they didn't give a fuck about Slayer. So they started fighting with the Slipknot fans. I'm like, oh my God, dude. So when we first got there, we were about, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 rows from the stage. So before Slayer started, things got so crazy. Me and my friend that I went with, we just started backing up slowly because of how many fucking fights there were.
Oh wow!
But
the show was off the hook.
Yeah.
I mean, it was intense. So it was a good show.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that for 1 second.
I had the pleasure of seeing them. Was it in 2016 at the Forum? That was fucking killer too, as well. So.
Yeah. And we saw them with Disturbed, Mastodon, and Dragon Force.
Yeah.
Oh, sick.
And the worst band was Dragon Force.
Yeah.
That's
I can imagine.
Dragon Force wouldn't have been so bad if their songs aren't fucking 13 minutes long.
Yeah.
So everybody got a good, I don't know, 45-minute set.
Yep.
And Dragon Force played maybe 3 songs.
Yeah.
In that 45.
Oh, yeah.
I was excited because they all came out to the Donkey Kong Country theme.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, it's gonna be awesome. And then really they played Through the Fire and the Flames, and then you're like, okay, can you just not play anymore? Because that's like the only song that we like from you guys.
Yeah. I mean, that song alone is enough to stretch out the opening act. They just come out, they play the song, they leave. It's it.
Did they open or did Mastodon open? I don't
Mastodon open. It went Mastodon. Let's see, Mastodon, Dragon Force, Disturbed, Slipknot. So,
I mean, Disturbed and Slipknot were just like an awesome 1-2 punch.
Yeah.
Like both bands are fucking amazing live. Even if you don't like Disturbed, like they're still like an amazing band to see live.
Yeah.
Plus Mastodon opening the show. I mean, that must have been fucking epic, dude. Mastodon is absolutely fantastic, dude.
And that was before they hit their peak. That was like around the time that
Leviathan.
Came out. So
yeah.
And they took
good.
Mastodon, I mean, like they're the cleanest, like just probably one of the best live shows I've ever seen because they don't go up there and tell a bunch of stories and fuck around. They go up there, they play their music, they get off the stage.
Yeah.
And that's what I appreciated about them. And I mean, everything was perfect. So,
although with Brent though, I wouldn't mind him very little here and there talking because that is one crazy motherfucker. But they're that band that's just like, okay, here we are, here we go, here are songs, let's do this, fucking rock out, down to business. Yeah, I get it.
I don't mind a little banter. I mean, I love Killswitch Engage, and especially when Howard was with Killswitch because their between song antics are legendary.
Yeah.
But I don't like it when people go up there like Springsteen. He tells like a 70-minute story about the first fucking line of lyrics in this one song.
Yeah.
And plays like a 6-hour show. And I've seen Springsteen live, and he was fantastic. But like at some point, I'm like, all right, dude, just play the fucking song already.
Yeah.
Or what's worse is they talk about it. They're kind of playing the song. You're just like, are you gonna fucking play?
What's happening?
Yeah, you're like teasing.
Well, at least you can kind of understand what Springsteen says when he's talking, unlike Brian Johnson in AC/DC.
Telling a story about the song. That's not true. You can understand when he says "all right." He's pretty clear when he says "all right."
Still, the worst I've experienced was Ozzy when I went to Ozfest.
I imagine
because he was so just decrepit and just not into it. He would tell a story before a song. He would sing like half of the first verse, and then walk off stage, and then it's like, okay, so Zach and everybody, because the only time I saw Ozzy was the first year that Jason Newsted joined Voivod and became his bassist.
That's right.
Metallica and Ozzy kind of did that swap.
Yeah.
So it was basically just Ozzy's band just jamming out while Ozzy was going to get oxygen or take another shot or have Sharon belittle him for something that he did, you know. So
picking up the dog poop.
Yeah, but he would tell a story, and then it was almost like Joe Biden. He'd like lose himself like halfway through, and then have to walk off stage and like, well, what the fuck did I just say? And then walk back on to start singing the song again. So,
oh man,
that was a great Ozfest too.
Yeah, that was what like 16 years ago, something like that.
That was like I think 2003.
So 17 years ago.
Yeah, because
I mean, Ozzy's still making music. So
that was a good show too. I mean, I saw Voivod, Cradle of Filth, Manson, Korn. I saw Disturbed for the first time. So
did Black Label play?
Black Label played, but they played. They were like the mid of the first stage, and we didn't get there. And Voivod was the closer, and we got there like right at the end of Cradle of Filth and right when Voivod started.
Okay.
So we missed Black Label, and that's the year that Crazy Town was on the tour, and
my god,
headlined the second stage. But everybody hated him so much that they moved him to the opener.
And then I think they only like lasted like a week or two, and they got booted off.
Booted off,
yeah. But you know, to talk about Ozzy, you can't blame it on the drugs and the alcohol, because I got to see the great Lemmy Kilmister and Motorhead play at the Metal Masters tour, and that dude is nothing but fucking crank and alcohol made up. And that dude, he could understand what he was saying. He was fucking clear. I could see his fucking warts from like 40 rows back. So it just goes to show that, like, you know, nothing against Ozzy. I love the Oz, man. I really do. Yeah. And very grateful because, you know, without him, we wouldn't have a lot of these fantastic bands, including Slipknot. But it just gets to a point where it feels just like an old senile man has wandered onto the stage with his live mic.
Fun fact about Motorhead, Lemmy's warts were actually the lead singer.
Yeah. That's right. The whole time.
Yeah, that's a Wikipedia fact, man. But fucking, dude, I got to say, one of the loudest shows I've ever been to in my life, man. It was fucking amazing. Wow. You know, and like I said, I don't know. I'm probably never going to see Ozzy I mean, I saw Sabbath with Dio, which was all right, but, you know, I'm never going to get to see Pantera and all this shit. But yeah, it's okay. I mean, hopefully Slipknot. I mean, they're not going away anytime soon. But I mean, you guys got to see Slipknot with Paul Gray, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. Twice. I mean, that's, you know, that's fucking killer. I mean, Bubs, you mentioned Korn. I got to see Korn with Dave Sylvia, and then I saw him a few years ago with their new guy, who's actually amazing. So don't get me wrong there. But I mean, I think there's these bands that, like, I don't think get enough credit for how good they sound live. And again, not having been there in person live to hear Slipknot, I've seen plenty of professional videos, amateur videos, and I mean, those guys respect the sound. And, like, you know, you pay your money to go see them, you're going to hear a great show, and, you know, they give everything they got there. And I mean, I'm sure that you're fucking, especially you, Bub, Slayer and fucking Slipknot, I don't think you got your hearing back for like weeks.
What?
Yeah.
What?
God damn, dude. Oh man, good stuff. Good list, man. Great list. Every time we talk about metal.
Yeah, it just sucks that it just seems like there hasn't been any like good metal festivals recently.
I don't know why. Yeah.
Well, not for the.
I mean, not this year again anyway, too. Yeah, but.
Well, I'm just talking.
But
about,
even before that,
even within like the last like 4 or 5 years. I mean, I know Metallica, they did the Big Four tour or festivals a couple of years back, but like a lot of the good metal festivals, they're not in the United States anymore.
No.
They're all overseas and in Europe and it's South America especially. They always go to South America. There's been a couple of them in like the Midwest, but over here on the West Coast, like every time we get a festival, it's like a indie hipster orgy fest.
Exactly.
You know? I don't want to see like an EDM DJ with a fucking acoustic guitarist. You know,
Yeah, see.
I want metal. I want something heavy. I want something hard. And
you don't want.
I know there's a few new good bands out there, but I mean, I think metal is so dead to mainstream that we probably won't see any kind of resurgence of it anytime soon. So you really have to go out and explore YouTube and seek out new bands, kind of like I did with Fire from the Gods. Like they're one of my new favorite metal bands.
Yeah, that's right.
So
yeah.
Well, I would have to agree that there hasn't really been any like great shows. Like every now and then you'll see like a band, they'll throw up like Megadeth and whoever, but it's like, oh, the only band I want to see is Megadeth.
Yeah.
And then of course the week of my birthday, it was supposed to be Killswitch and Light the Torch.
Yep.
And obviously, like Howard would have went up and played with Killswitch.
Yeah.
But they had to cancel the show, so
did they
Did
they cancel it or did they postpone it?
They postponed it because it happened a few days after the lockdown, the Riverside lockdown went into effect.
Yeah.
So hopefully, when everything goes back to being somewhat normal, that they'll rebook that show. Because I was trying to get tickets for that thing, and I could only buy like 2 tickets at a time. You couldn't buy single tickets.
Well, if it comes up again, buy 2 tickets and I will go with you. No, I'm serious, and I'll give you the money. Yeah. So, because I wanted to go the first time, but Elizabeth and I were going to go on our honeymoon that week.
Yeah, that's right.
Everything got canceled. So, like, even we were talking about, because we're supposed to go see Brett Eldridge at the San Diego Fair. That got postponed till next year.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I feel you, man. I had shows that got postponed too. So it's gonna. I mean, when everything clears up, dude, live music is gonna be fucking killer, dude. Like people are gonna go see everything. I mean, Mike, maybe we should book a few dates because I'm sure we'll have sellout crowds.
Absolutely,
they're gonna want to get back to.
They're gonna want to see anything. Yeah.
But you're absolutely right about music, especially with metal. And I think what's happening is a lot of the older acts, the great acts that we all grew up listening to, love and respect, are slowly kind of, bowing out. Slayer kind of had they called it a career. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure Metallica and Megadeth are kind of approaching that horizon. But the bands that open for them, like Mastodon, for example, they're getting their like mainstream and they're like headlining and they're getting that kind of, grounds. But we need more like, Gigantors, Mayhem festivals, all this shit. I mean, I remember back in the day there was so many fucking metal shows, and I know Bubs, you might remember this one. Do you remember Tattoo the Earth? Yeah. I mean, just incredible heavy, lineups. I mean, the closest I've been to one was, the Mayhem Fest when they had fucking Avenged Sevenfold and Korn headline, but I did get to see, Cannibal Corpse and Body Count, so you kind of take the good with the bad. But I mean, metal, it's never dead. It kind of, the flame lowers a bit, but it'll be back, and there'll be bands that'll really take it to the next level. And amongst them, I think Slipknot's still got a little bit left in their tank, and they're going to keep going. But it's just when you play so aggressive, it's not like you're the Stones. I mean, the Stones have been playing for 100 years, but then again, they never rocked incredibly hard. I mean, they play the same shit when they were in their 20s as they do in their 60s. But like metal is kind of like, all right, you get to a point now where it's like you're pushing 60. How can you still? I mean, God bless Metallica. I mean, they're still kicking ass at that age, but it's just sooner or later, like it just wears on you, and that's
it's metal is definitely generational, and it's also kind of regional as well. I mean, like I said earlier, like a lot of the festivals and a lot of tours that I see, it's like metal bands, they only stay like on the East Coast up into the Midwest and into Texas, and they never go as far as that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like let's take Fozzy, for example. Like when Fozzy goes out on tour, they spend most of their times in the Midwest and on the East Coast and even down like in Florida and everything like that, and then they go over to Europe. The only time Fozzy has really been out here is when they opened for Iron Maiden recently.
That's right.
But you know, a lot of there was a tour last year. I think it was Seven Dust and Fire from the Gods, and I think there was like one other good band that I can't think of it. But the only shows that they did were Midwest and down in Texas, and that was it.
Yeah.
So
you got to put the word out, because LA used to be the hotbed, man. It used to be the place, man. The Bay Area, LA, hell, even Orange County, believe it or not, Anaheim, man. They used to fucking kick it back in the day before any of us were born. But
really, Orange County, especially Fullerton, that was a punk rock scene.
Yeah,
a lot of the '80s punk was born in Fullerton.
No, I absolutely. But I mean, like a lot of, because they have this one club, and you know, Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer, they constantly play there. So there was some, you know, remnants, you know, of their history there. But I mean, definitely LA has always been a big, you know, place to play.
When you think about the history of metal, though, it's like when you talk about California being the hotbed, it was the hotbed, but up north, San Francisco, the Bay Area, that was like the thrash scene with like Metallica and Flotsam and Jetsam and all that.
Yeah, Exodus.
Metal, Exodus. The metal down in LA was fucking Motley Crue and Poison and all the glam rock bands. And really, I mean, out of all of them that you could really consider metal, and I don't, is Guns N' Roses. So Guns N' Roses was just a rock band that got metal label tattooed on them. So
but it's always great.
But they were more like glam rock. So.
And stories of when like those thrash bands would come down to LA and just fucking beat the shit out of everybody. You know, and the fans would come and gather. And I mean, I'm sure you've all seen, but it's one of my favorite lines was from the Behind the Music with Metallica, where one of the dudes from Exodus talked about how they would like target people wearing like Motley Crue shirts and shit and beat the fuck out of them. Kiss creeps and, you know, Motley Crue assholes and shit or whatever it was.
I mean, some of those glam metal bands, like they brought it. Like Motley Crue's first album is heavy as hell. You know, Shout at the Devil's a heavy ass album, and then I've always considered Skid Row more of a thrash band than a glam rock band, and the only reason why they're considered glam rock is because of Sebastian Bach and the way that he looks.
Yeah, the presentation.
It's the presentation, but that guy's got pipes, and that band fucking ripped.
Yeah.
So what's kind of funny too, and it's really funny, is because like for Slayer in the early days, they would, you know, wear a little bit of makeup. I hate to say makeup, but you know, around the eyes and shit. And of course, there's all the leather and the spandex and the spikes and everything. It was just really, really crazy. This is like, you know, what separated them, I think, was really Hairspray. I think Hairspray was like, you know, and more feminine makeup, I think, was the real dividing factor, because like you watch these bands play in older videos and it's like, dude, like even Metallica, like, dude, didn't they wear fucking tights all the time, or it looked like they were wearing tights? Just put a shirt. They look like pro wrestlers, man. They look like Mikey fucking Whipwreck, dude. They wore the fucking tights and then like a t-shirt over it, and but it was Metallica. You know, everyone got passes.
Yeah, tights and a fucking denim vest with patches on it.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
I mean, before, like, you know, it's been said a million times over, but before Pantera hit it big, they were a glam rock band.
Oh yeah,
that's like a Judas Priest like influenced glam rock band.
Oh, dude, it was power metal and Projects in the Jungle, dude. Yeah. Fucking A. But you know what? Even Alice in Chains.
Band.
You know, a lot of bands were like that. It's because, you know what? As much as it's a terrible thing to say, at the end of the day, music is, to a degree, is a business. So obviously, you want to get popular, so you kind of ride that fad. But then, if you're one of the greats, you just say, you know what? Fuck this shit, man. We'll make it on our own. When Pantera made that switch, it was like the best thing they could have ever done, dude. Fucking A, man.
So it would have been kind of funny to see them do that type of music in tights and Hairspray. It would have been pretty funny. So.
Yeah. Fucking Mouth for War and, you know, Walk and fucking Hostile in the power metal era.
With your hair teased up.
Yeah. Taking over the salon.
Phil with that weird ass haircut that he had. Yeah.
Vulgar display of Pantene.
There you
go. Far beyond teased.
That's right.
Our next top 10 or top 5 should probably be Pantera as far as like music goes.
Yeah.
Because we've already hit Metallica, Slipknot. So, do we want to go through our individual lists?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
I'll go first since it's
Okay.
right. Mine was number 5, Before I Forget. Number 4, Duality. Number 3, The Heretic Anthem. Number 2, My Plague. And number 1, Left Behind.
Basically every track on Iowa.
Yeah. Like we said.
Yeah.
I'll go next. For number 5, I had Duality. Number 4, I had Kill Pop. Number 3, I had Unsainted. Number 2, I had Psychosocial. And number 1, I had Before I Forget. So kind of a mix of everything there.
And then for me, at number 5, I had Unsainted. Number 4, Duality. Number 3, Vermilion Part 1 and 2. Number 2, Snuff. And number 1, Psychosocial.
For mine, number 5, I had Dead Memories. Number 4, I had Before I Forget. Number 3 was Wait and Bleed. Number 2 was Snuff. And number 1 was Duality. So 3 out of my top 5 made the list there.
Mm-hmm.
A part of me wanted to put Wait and Bleed on my list, but I'm like, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love the song.
Crispy's upside down.
I know, because I'm trying to pull up because I made it a top 10 list. I'm trying to pull it up, so
okay,
bear with me.
It's gonna look all funny in the recording. I'm gonna have to rewatch this part.
Nah, yeah.
After you see my little Easter egg.
Yeah.
But
yeah, like we had, we're still gonna do the recasting / rebooting, like movies. That'll probably be on the next episode.
Yes.
We all put out our movies, so.
Do we want to announce them on the air right now?
Yeah, I mean, if you guys want to.
Sure.
So Bubba said his, so you can go ahead and say it again.
Yeah, well, I'm picking Bull Durham, and for my list, I'm gonna recast it back in the 80s.
I picked Swingers. The Jon Favreau classic from the mid 90s,
which Elizabeth finally watched for the first time, and she said it was boring.
No.
I can understand that. It's a dude movie.
Yeah.
It's a finesse.
Yeah,
it's
true.
A finesse film.
Yeah.
It's finesse.
Yeah, it's a dude movie. It's like one of those things that you watch, with other dudes that you just love
Kinda
with
way
other
too,
dudes.
Yeah.
Wasn't a fan of the Big Bad Voodoo Daddy, huh?
Just not. Either that or NHL '93.
But,
I am curious to hear, Dave, who you recast, because that Jon Favreau voice message scene is probably one of the
epic
scenes in the movie. So
yeah.
mine is going to be like a reboot. It's going to be a modern recasting.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Nice.
Right. I picked RoboCop. The did you as a reboot.
Rebooting a reboot.
Well, I like to think of it as if the reboot that came out never existed, this would be the version that would have come out.
Yeah.
That's how I want to do it. And I actually have some actors in mind. I think you guys are going to probably definitely agree with who I had. Nothing against the guy that played Murphy in the remake. I'm actually a fan of his work. He does some great stuff, like The Killing, for example, is a good example of what he's been doing. But I have a few names in mind, so I'm doing RoboCop as a reboot.
Yeah. And then for mine, I kind of took the same approach. I'm gonna kind of like reboot, the reboot of the most recent Child's Play. So,
all right.
I have some actors in mind too as well who I think probably could have done a better job. So
I don't know, man. If it ain't Brad Dourif, I ain't listening.
Right. I know.
Now you guys need to send the 4 characters that you're going to recast. Obviously, like Crispy's going to do RoboCop, the guy who played Murphy.
Yeah.
Mike, you're going to do the kid that played Chucky.
Yeah.
And be the little kid. And then
I picked 5 characters for Swingers.
Okay.
So
now make sure that you guys send out your list of characters you're rebooting, because remember, we're all going to redo these.
Yeah.
So we're all going to throw in our actors. So
yeah, the only one I haven't done is Child's Play because I haven't seen it yet.
yeah.
So
I haven't seen RoboCop or Child's Play.
Yeah.
So I will try to watch them in the next couple of days.
Okay.
Well, I mean, maybe this will be easier, but for my reboot, I'm going to focus on characters that appeared in the original. So even though in the reboot that came out, they didn't have a lot of those characters, I'm going to do that.
Yeah. Well,
okay.
We can pick like whatever. Like if I for my reboot of Bull Durham, like I could pick it being modern, right?
Yeah.
Or do I have to? Yeah. Okay.
No. You can pick whatever one you want. So like if Crispy, like when you reboot Bull Durham, you can choose like you could choose actors from the 80s, or you can modern day reboot it as well. So you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but for me, I'm gonna reboot it back in the 80s.
Okay.
So.
All right.
It's gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
That'll hopefully be the next episode.
Yeah,
it will be the next episode.
It's gonna be a clusterfuck, but we'll figure it out.
That'll probably be the only topic we talk about next week because it's going to be a long episode.
Unless something happens between now and then, we'll see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but since we're wrapping up, you got any picks for the week? Any Bubba's best? I forgot what Mike's is. Christmas
Mikey
choice.
likes it.
Mikey likes it. There you go.
Let's see.
I actually have one. I was on Hulu this last week, and I actually came across this really cool documentary. I guess it originally aired on HBO. It's called I don't know. I don't think we mentioned already, but it's called McMillions. And pretty much what it is they went and I guess in the early in 2001, there was an FBI investigation that was open, and I guess there was this group of people that were actually rigging. You know how they had the Monopoly game for McDonald's.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess there was a group of people who were actually rigging the game to win the $1 million. You know, all these people just started winning the $1 million all the time, and they're like, hey, you know, what's going on? You know, so they kind of go in there and they kind of and it kind of was you know, and they kind of go into it who was doing it and why, and it's pretty tripped out. So
cool.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what that's about? I saw that.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I think it's about 5 or 6 episodes. They're each about an hour, but it gets pretty tripped out. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's very interesting. So I recommend it.
Nice.
Yeah.
I don't know if I recommended this last time, but for my Bubba's Best, it's another podcast. It's called the Big Fly Baseball Show. It's hosted by Victor Rojas, who's the play-by-play announcer for the Angels, and Joel Goldberg, who is a sideline reporter for the Kansas City Royals. They do a daily baseball podcast about just what's going on in the baseball world, and they also have a special guest every week. On Wednesday of last week, I think, they actually had Bill Engvall.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so they talk to different baseball people. They have different celebrities like Albert Pujols, Joe the Machine. The best part about the Pujols podcast is people always tell me how much they hate how I make fun of Albert Pujols with how he says Jim Edmonds because he says Jing Edmonds.
Yeah.
And when he says Anda, he goes Enga, Enga. The longer the interview with Pujols goes, it gets worse and worse and worse.
Wonderful.
And there's just one part of the interview where he's basically just speaking Spanish the whole time.
Oh, shit.
Or
It's
English. He's like, you know, when I win the Cardinals in Jing Eggmans and it's fucking hilarious. So, but good interviews, really great baseball interviews, and if you're really hungry for baseball stuff, new content, it's good to listen to. So, after you watch this or listen to this, whichever platform you choose, go check out the Big Fly Baseball Show with Victor Rojas and Joel Goodman.
Very cool.
All right. My picks for the week are The Last Stand, the ESPN Bulls documentary that they're doing.
The Bulls.
It's like a 10-part series, I think, right? 10 parts?
I think so.
Yeah.
Ken Burns documentary.
Yeah. It's the first two, and it comes in both TV 14 and TVMA, which I like. So there's cussing in the TVMA. So that made me happy because I hate when they censor shit. It bugs the hell out of me. But the first 2 episodes are out on the ESPN app, and then I think it's every Sunday for the next 5 weeks or the remaining 4 weeks or something like that. So
sick.
But another thing is SB Nation on YouTube. They did a Seattle Mariners documentary that they're going through right now, a 6-part series. It's pretty good. It's very well done, and if you're starving for sports content, like SB Nation is definitely a place. They have a lot of good like little like 10, 12 minute like documentary style things, like on like rivalries and whatnot. So I would suggest them if you're looking for content also. But another one for the more like analytical stuff is Stark Raving Sports on YouTube. Like they do a lot of like analytical and stat based. They recently did a video where they compiled the greatest franchises of all time, and they ranked them. They ranked every franchise in like the big four American sports.
Yeah,
and they did it via like math equation to like determine who like the greatest franchise of all time is in any sport. So, yeah, that was pretty interesting.
Is it North American sports or is it worldwide?
North American.
Okay.
Like the big four in North America.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but yeah, like if you're interested in stats and stuff, that's definitely a great channel to watch. So.
Nice.
Sounds badass, man. How are you?
Also, listen to Talking Shop, good brothers.
That's right.
Come on, Hoots.
I don't have anything, but I will say this. I was telling the Dandy before we went on or recorded that I did finish watching Rescue Me, and I agree with you guys in your statement of that show. I personally think it starts winding down around 4 myself, but I think it was a great show. It actually kind of gave me a newfound respect in a certain light for Dennis Leary. I thought the whole content and what he did and how he went about it, and I think it was, there was a lot of respect there, and I thought it was well done. The story wise and the characters, it starts one way and it starts kind of going in different directions, but it ends okay. I mean, like I said, the last few seasons, like it just kind of continued on when it really didn't have to, but I didn't feel bored or felt like, oh my God, I've got to stop watching this. It was running on fumes, but it was a good show. So I guess in a way I would recommend that. If you haven't seen Rescue Me, definitely watch it. It's on Hulu.
For me, it's the season that was like the double season because of the writing and everything.
That was season 4.
That's when I started really getting exhausted on it, just because it was like, all right, the season's a little bit too long and the story's starting to get a little stale.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it almost kind of starts not backtracking, but it starts kind of, like a very long song, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse. Like, okay,
Well, I think it really, because that season 5 was what, like 22 episodes?
No, 4 was 22. I think that was the longest one.
I could have swore it was 5.
Maybe it was 5.
Whatever.
They do 7 seasons?
Yeah.
Then it was 5. It was 5. Yeah, my mistake.
I think it really shows, because like those hour-long shows should not go that long.
Yeah.
Like it's one of the reasons why I stopped watching like The Flash and Arrow. It's because it's like 42-minute episodes, and it's like I can't sit through 23 of these.
Yeah.
A lot of ones, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, and I can understand with like the Rescue Me thing, because like me and Bubba loved Rescue Me, but like even by the end of that, we were excited for, like, we were sad that the show was ending, but it's like, I don't think we could sit through. I'm kind of glad like the last 2 seasons were like 10 episodes and then 9 episodes.
Yeah.
So that's it, like, especially when you're watching back from like the first season, it really like, it doesn't seem like you're slogging through a lot of just like filler content those last 2 seasons.
Yeah, and like for us, like when Rescue Me would come on, it was an event.
Yeah.
Like we made sure that we were home the nights that Rescue Me was on, which was usually Tuesday nights.
That was like Suns for us, yeah.
And then like Dave was saying with like Arrow and Flash and the whole DC television universe, that's a commitment. That's not an event, it's a commitment, because in order to stay on top of the storyline,
you got to watch all the time.
You have to watch every episode every day of the week that it's on, and it just became a lot. Like I think I got through halfway through season 5 of Arrow before I stopped watching. And I think I stopped during season 3 of Flash. I'm not 100% positive, but yeah, it's just because it came too much. Because Legends of Tomorrow came out, and then they just started adding more and more content, and it's
like a second full-time job over here.
Yeah.
It
almost became like a chore.
Yeah, and then when like the like the mashups and everything come together, like you have to be updated around all the other storylines, which kind of sucks.
Right.
You know, like I don't really care about watching Legends of Tomorrow. You know, like I watch Black Lightning, but that's about it.
Yeah.
So
and like I don't really have any interest in Supergirl. Legends of Tomorrow was okay. I don't care for Batwoman. I think I watched like 30 minutes of the first episode, and I'm just like, ugh.
Yeah, no, I couldn't do it either.
I couldn't do it. Not good, but like I agree with Dave. A lot of those television shows that are 42 to 52 minutes long, they should only maybe run anywhere from 8 to 12 episodes a season, because it just becomes it makes for better storytelling, and it keeps my attention span intact.
I mean, I love when I can go on Netflix and watch like the end of the fucking world. Like both of those seasons were like what 6 to 8 episodes, and they were only like 22 minutes a piece. Yeah, like 22 to 25 minutes a piece.
Yeah.
So you can literally watch those in one night.
Yeah, I mean that's the great thing about that. That's like a super easy watch. You just kind of.
Same with like Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I've always been a fan of that British style where like they do seasons where it's only a handful of episodes, and they can range from anywhere from 30 to an hour long, but that's fine because there's only like 5 or 6 episodes. But I think in closing here, the important thing is that a show just has to grab your attention and keep it there, because I've watched shows that I really enjoyed watching, like Riverdale was something that I really enjoyed watching on a weekly basis, but it got to a point where like it felt like a chore, and I missed one, then I missed another one. I'm like, all right, I'm already 4 behind, so fuck it, I'll just wait till it goes on Netflix or whatever and just watch them, binge watch it. That was what's great about, for me, Rescue Me, was that I get to watch the entire show commercial free, uninterrupted, season's over, start the new season. For you guys, you had to wait, and it's always like fucking frustrating because you have to wait a week and then you wait a year, and it's like, oh man. So Netflix is kind of spoiling it for us, but God bless it, man. It fucking works. And I can go back and check out shows that I missed and think to myself, like Rescue Me definitely was like, man, I wish I watched this when this was actually happening, because it's a great show. So but yeah, so I guess in hindsight,
I have one more question to ask, and it's to Bubba. How often have you been rubbing your head ever since you shaved it?
Quite often.
Yeah.
Right, it's just like
it feels good, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, even for me, like the first couple of days I had the bald head, because what I would do when I put my hat on is I take my left hand and I go like that to hold my hair back so I could slide my hat on.
Yeah.
So, and I kept doing that for the first couple of days, and just up until like, I think yesterday I stopped doing that. I just grab my hat and just throw it on. So.
I just noticed, because you've been like rubbing your head like all episode, like taking your head off and rubbing your head, and usually that's like one of the things you do when you shave your head, is because it just feels so weird and different. So
well, it's like soft and spiky all at the same time.
Yeah.
It's fuzzy.
It's the best when somebody else rubs your head.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Elizabeth does it when I'm going to sleep, and I'm like, oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I got one more Bubba's Best. I've been trying to read a little bit more lately, and I'm about.
What you reading for?
What am I reading for? Because I'm trying to be like smart, like them McDonald's workers. So, but I'm about to finish Michael Waltrip's autobiography. Michael Waltrip is a NASCAR driver, and if you watch NASCAR, he's a personality as well.
Is he the boogity?
No, that's Daryl. That's brother.
That's Daryl Waltrip.
Michael Waltrip's like the tall. He kind of sounds like he's gay. Dale Jr.'s teammate for a long time.
That's right. Yeah.
But he's just a character. But I'm reading his autobiography. Yeah, he actually is pretty flamboyant. But I'm reading his autobiography. It's called In the Blink of an Eye. Michael, it's his autobiography leading up to the day that Dale Earnhardt died, and
okay.
Michael Waltrip went like 0 for 460 when it came to races, and the first race he ever won was the Daytona 500 that Dale Earnhardt died.
Oh wow!
And he was Dale Earnhardt's driver. He was on DEI, Dale Earnhardt Incorporated, as a teammate. So it's basically his life's autobiography. Towards the end of the book, you get to that race. So that's kind of where I am right now. It's right after he won, and now he's getting into the Dale Earnhardt stuff.
Oh,
nice.
so.
But no, it's a good book. There's a documentary that was released in limited theaters on the book last year. I didn't get to see it, but I could only imagine it's as good as the book is. But the book's funny. It's sad. It's very well written. Very self-deprecating because that's just his humor. But it's a good read. So I'd recommend that. The next book I'm going to read is Doc, which is Doc Gooden's autobiography. And if you know anything about Doc Gooden, you know where this one's going. So
that's right.
But
all black bands like a young Doc Gooden.
So that's it for me.
Alrighty, I think that wraps it up.
Yeah, man.
So thank you for listening to another episode of the CoronaCast
and watching.
Right.
Yes. If you're watching this on YouTube, sorry for the shitty production. I don't put any effort into the production on YouTube. I just upload it. So,
if you've been with us for years, you know that's always been the case.
Yeah. So
remember, if you missed it, go back to the point before we started talking about the list.
Yeah.
So.
There you go.
Comment below on the either in the comments or on the Instagram post of where you found it or wherever, and we'll give you a shout out.
Yeah.
If you listen, if there's anybody listening.
Also, rate, review, and subscribe.
Yeah.
Hit that subscribe.
Right.
Yeah, I posted up a photo that we were recording on our Instagram, and somebody, I don't know who it is I guess it's somebody that either Mike or Crispy know put it in their story.
Really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'll check it out.
Let's see. Let's see if it's creamy.art.
Oh yeah.
That's Amber. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Jeff and
Jeff's
Amber.
wife. Yeah.
Hi, Amber.
Nice.
Very cool.
Hi,
Thank you, Amber.
Thank you for posting that up in your story.
Hero art show, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's the same. She's a
Fan-
supporter.
Fantastic artwork too on our website, creamyart.com. So check that out. I actually have a painting that I bought from her. So really good stuff on there. And thank you for that, Bubs. That's exactly right.
Yep.
Cool. All right,
So
I think that's gonna do it. Yeah.
That's it. We're so over.
So over.
What are we supposed to do now?
Thank you for listening. We're your hosts. I'm Debo.
I'm Bubs.
I'm Mad Mike.
Goddamn.
Mad Mike.
You
Mad
blew
Mike.
it.
You blew it.
I'm
You
Crispy.
ruined it.
Yeah. All right, fuck it. Let's cut. Let's take the whole episode over again.
All right.
Take two.
All right. Well, see you guys next week.
Keep
All right,
on jiggling,
take
you
it
fat fucks.
All right, later.
Peace.